iOS 26.4 is now out for everyone, and there are over 15 new features. From using Apple Intelligence to generate playlists, a better video experience in Apple Podcasts, new widgets for ambient music, new shortcuts actions, better payment management in iCloud families, new emojis, and Apple says they finally fixed the keyboard in iOS 26. First up, let's look at the 8 new emojis that are now there in iOS 26.4. We have a new ballet dancer, distorted face, which you might recognize from this ad, fight cloud, hairy creature, landslide, orca, trombone, and treasure chest. Number 2, Apple has improved video in Apple Podcasts. Now when you open the app, whether you're on the Now Playing screen or in episode listings, if a podcast offers the new HLS video, you'll see this video tag on top of the episode. If you go to a specific podcast, scroll their episode listing, and you'll also see the video designation there. Then if you tap one of those video episodes, it will start playing the video automatically right here in Apple Podcasts. If you want to turn the video off and just listen to the audio, you can turn it off there, and then any custom episode artwork will still be shown in the player. Turn the video back on here, and while you still get a transcript, the transcript does not follow along like it did with audio-only podcasts before. There's also a couple other missing features, like chapter markers. They're neither auto-generated or if provided by the creator, you won't see them here in the Up Next queue. But if you really want to watch video of a podcast, you'll have a better experience here in the Apple Podcasts app when show supported. You can also swipe to go home, and the podcast will be put in that picture-in-picture window. You can watch the latest episode of my tech podcast, Primary Technology, scan this QR code or link down in the description, and you can watch with the new video in iOS 26.4 right now. Also, shout out to our amazing podcast host, Transistor.fm. They're one of the few hosts that actually support this new HLS video in Apple Podcasts, and let me know what you think down in the comments. There is also a new settings due to this video feature. If I go to the Settings app, search for Podcasts, and then scroll down to Automatic Downloads, you'll see here that Download Video is a toggle. So if you want to automatically download the video versions, which will take up more space on your phone, but you can automatically download that video by toggling this on here. Next, Apple Music is getting some big upgrades. If you have an iPhone with Apple Intelligence, now when you go to create a new playlist, you can add songs manually like before, but you'll also have the option to tell Apple Intelligence a prompt, and it will create a brand new playlist for you. It has some ideas here that you can just select a prompt, it'll automatically go creating that playlist, and if you want to go with that, just tap the check, and now that playlist has been added to your Apple Music library. You can also prompt it with something custom. So I'll create another playlist, and here, I'll say funk-style songs from the 80s, like those from Tower of Power and Earth, Wind & Fire. And sure enough, made that playlist, even included some songs from the artists I mentioned, and I can add that to my library. Another new feature here in Apple Music are concerts near me. So if you go to one of your favorite artists, you might see an upcoming concerts label here if they're currently on tour. Select that, and you'll see all of their concerts, not only near you, but around the world. And if you tap a concert, you'll see all the information, date, time, location, and you can even tap Get Tickets, and it will send you over to Ticketmaster or Bands in Town, wherever you can get yours. Also, albums look even better in iOS 26.4. Some albums will actually have this full screen cover art, where the cover might be animated, not be boxed in by the actual square, and even the color under the songs at the bottom will match the album artwork. You can go to something like the Widgets soundtrack, you got the animated album artwork, and it goes all the way full screen. And even for albums that don't have animated or that newer artwork, you can still go to albums like that, and the color behind the square album artwork will match the album. Also, there's a revamped profile area, so if you tap your account in the top right, you can now go to your music profile, and you have better controls over your profile image, editing privacy, this shows what you're listening to, playlists, and more. And final Apple Music feature, if you wanted to add a song to a playlist, you can now add a single song to multiple playlists at a time. Just tap this symbol down in the bottom right, tap multiple playlists, tap the check, and now that one song will be added to as many playlists as you'd like. Next, if you like recognizing music with Shazam, you can put Shazam in the control center here, and this will now be available offline. It won't be able to provide an answer to what you're listening to offline, but even if you're in airplane mode, if a song is playing somewhere, you can tap Recognize Music, and it will listen and save that song data to tell you what song it was when you get back to an internet connection. There's also new ambient music widgets that you can add to your home screen, both small and medium sizes, and you can even tap in to edit these widgets and choose what Apple Music playlist would you like. You can choose one of your own playlists or some of the Apple ambient music playlists like sleep sounds, bedtime beats, and now you can automatically start that music from the widgets. But now you can have those for quick access. Next, one of the new features in iOS 26 was marking a reminder as urgent, meaning it will actually start an alarm for the reminder due date. Well, now if you have the Add Reminder action here in Control Center, you can still have this quick toolbar that pops down, and if you tap the due date here on the left, you'll also see the Mark as Urgent. Now you can automatically attach that alarm for the due date. Let's have this remind me in 1 minute. We have the urgent reminder set, and we'll add this reminder, tap the check, and if we go to the Reminders app, we can now actually filter our reminders by the urgent. That's a new smart list that'll appear here at the top of the Reminders app. We'll see the alarm right there, and we'll let that go off in a minute so we can see what it looks like. Oh, I didn't beat the alarm. There's our alarm with the actual reminder here on my other phone syncing over iCloud. Next, we actually got a new shortcuts action in iOS 26.4. If you search for battery, you'll be able to set the battery charge limit via a shortcuts action. You can have the limit all the way down to 80% or 100, and you can also expand this to set until tomorrow. This way it will reset to whatever your phone's default is. So maybe you normally have it set to 80% charge, but you want it to charge to 100% while you're traveling. Well, you can do that, have this run as an automation, or run it manually, and it will set that charge limit. Side note, if you're into shortcuts, the third-party app Actions added a bunch of new shortcuts actions, things like combine video files, combine audio, get image URLs from a website, and a ton more. I'll be covering this in my live stream in my shortcuts community, which you can join at shortcut.bot. Join for free, over 4,000 people there, or become a paying member so you have access to my weekly live streams, Shortcut of the Week, and I'm actually doing a giveaway this week too. Scan the QR code for that. Next, if you have multiple people in your iCloud family, one of the challenges is there can only be one default payment method where all purchases go through. If you go to the Settings app and then iCloud Settings by tapping your name here, and then here at the bottom, go to Purchase Sharing. You can actually stop purchase sharing, and then each person in your iCloud family can use their own card for things like app purchases, subscriptions, but each person can have their own payment method for one-off and individual app subscriptions. Next, supposedly iOS 26.4 improves the keyboard when you're fast typing. I'll have to test this in depth, but actually, even just then, it seemed a little better. So let me know in the comments if you find improved keyboard accuracy when you're typing fast with iOS 26.4. Also, if you're on the Creator Studio subscription, the Freeform app has now been updated. We get a new icon, and if you create a new document here in Freeform, you actually get the Content Hub, so you can get that royalty-free images. You get Apple Intelligence to generate an image here in Freeform, and there's the new premium templates. And if you click the little paperclip icon, you'll see those options here as well. Generate, browse the Content Hub, Image Playground, and there may be even more benefits when you're on the Creator Studio subscription. Next, Apple Health is getting some new features. You have a new bedtime average metric, so if you go into your sleep score, compared to your normal bedtime, whether it was earlier or later, how many interruptions. Also, if you go to your vitals for sleep, blood oxygen has now been added. It'll take a few days to actually populate that information, but you'll get that in addition to temperature, sleep duration, respiratory, and heart rate when you sleep. Last two features you won't really see here in the OS, but end-to-end encryption for RCS is being tested right now. It's not live, but it's built into iOS 26 and will launch at a later date. And then AI chatbots like Gemini and ChatGPT, you'll actually be able to talk to them via the CarPlay apps. The apps have to support the CarPlay app and actually add that, so hopefully that's coming soon, but that's now built into iOS 26.4. But those are all the changes. Let me know if typing faster has improved. Once you update, let me know down in the comments. Also, I'll share a link to my 80s funk playlist that Apple Intelligence generated down in the description as well. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Remember, you can join my Shortcuts community. I'm going to be talking about the Actions app in depth. Scan this QR code or just go to shortcut.bot. And if you're into shortcuts, I'll put my last shortcuts video linked right up here. And if you're new to the Mac, maybe you've had an iPhone or iPad for a while, but you just got a MacBook Neo, or you've just never used a Mac before, you're coming from Windows, and you want to know everything there is to know in order to use it, I did an over hour-long video explaining everything about Mac OS, setting up your Mac, how to use the menu bar and dock, and I also have a bunch of getting started guides like getting started with iPhone, Apple Watch, and Apple Smart Home. I'll put my Getting Started with Mac video here and a playlist down in the description for all my Getting Started guides. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.